touchdown para Calvin Austin. El Monte Washington es arma. ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? TJ Watt.
Yes, TJ Watt. He's still on the Steelers, and he's going to be on the Steelers for another 4 years. That's right. Welcome to the Steelers Preview. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Dave Schofield and Bryan Davis. We have something to talk about for sure. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hi. I just thought I would go back to more in-season attire, and since I had this nice number 90 jersey that came my way on Christmas, I thought, what a good night to bust it out. And I don't think I've worn a jersey all off season, so this is a new feeling for me.
There you go. Very good. Bryan, not in a jersey. What's up?
Actually, guys, I am wearing something different that my wife gave me because it's a quote that I use all the time. Dave, you'll recognize this from Big Bang Theory, but I'm a delight. You can't really see it, but I'm wearing my I'm a delight t-shirt because I am delighted right now with what is going on with this, and I'm going to tell you why a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely do have a lot of news to discuss. As TJ Watt earlier today, Thursday, inks a brand new 3-year contract extension. Now, I'm going to let Dave talk because let's get the minutia out of the way because Dave's going to be able to outline. And we don't have all the details yet. And we also have some other cap stuff to discuss as well with the Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith thing, which we'll get to. But Dave, go ahead and let everyone know that might just be listening for the first time or hearing this news and all the information. What are the numbers that we know now on the TJ Watt deal?
Okay, so first thing that I think is important to look at is what was TJ Watt's numbers for 2025 before anything happened that was agreed to today, because you've got to start there and remember some things with that. TJ Watt, his cap number was almost 30.5 million. It was 30.48 or 30.418695. That's because he had his still dead money from the prorated signing bonus from his last deal over $9 million, 9.368694, I think. Well, technically that's 5 because they rounded up. That's the number that's going to carry through as dead money into this year, no matter what. Didn't matter how they did anything else with TJ Watt. That was counting towards this year's salary cap because it was the end of the last deal. TJ Watt was due $21.05 million for 2025. So now there are two ways that you can spin this contract for TJ Watt. There's the player's way and there's the team way. So how people spin it, you can kind of see whose court they're in, like how Jer Bear spun it. Okay. If you're going to do it the player's way, it's a 3-year extension of $123 million and reportedly 108 million of it guaranteed. But the guaranteed part isn't what's important right now. I mean, it is to TJ Watt. That's what sealed the deal. But if you look at how much he's making, you're just looking at new money and new years. So it's 123 million for 3 years. That's 41 million per year. That puts him ahead of Myles Garrett. That puts him ahead of everybody who's not a quarterback. That's the way that it really works out when they equate these deals across the league. But if you look at it from the team-wise, they're saying, yeah, it's a new 4-year deal. So they're taking the 21.05 that he was going to be due this year anyway, adding that to the 123 million. That's why if you've seen the 144.05 million for 4 years floating around, that's what that means. That's just over $36 million a year. So for the team, that looks good. Look, we're getting him for 36. If you're the player and the player's agents, it's 41 million per year in new money. That's the difference between those two different numbers. But really, it's the same deal. It's really the same concept. I wish I had this year's cap number. I don't know what the signing bonus is. And it used to be the guaranteed money was the signing bonus plus this year's salary when the Steelers only guaranteed the first year. That's not how they're doing this. I think it's guaranteed all, probably except the last year is probably what it is. So I don't know how much of that is a signing bonus to actually figure out what his cap hit is for this year, but most likely, unless it was a low signing bonus and high base salary for this year, which I doubt they would do that, most likely that number is going to go down, his current cap number.
I mean, gee, why would his agent and the team probably agree to saying 3 years, 123 to equate to 41? Do we know someone that is getting 40? Oh, it's that guy in Cleveland. That's right. We've been saying that all offseason. Give him $1 million more than Myles Garrett, and let's move on with our life. That's exactly what
I thought it was going to be 40.5. I honestly did. or was that what Garrett's was 40.5? I mean, I just thought it was going to be barely above.
It's more.
Yes.
Brian, you're not going to be talking about the minutia with the numbers, but what was your takeaway on the deal itself?
A lot of things. The first thing first, you mentioned Myles Garrett. Yeah, this was personal for TJ Watt, and I really believe it was because of all of the talking. There's another guy that this is personal, and he is probably up in arms right now and going to his agents, and it's a guy that I used to cheer for in college because he was a Penn Stater, but I think he's a first-class D-bag now, and his name is Micah Parsons. And with all that,
why?
with all the talk the last couple years about TJ Watt not being
he's
even
trashed
in
on
the
TJ
equation,
Watt.
That's true.
So I wouldn't be surprised if TJ's not sitting back and going, "Hey, number 11, sniff this," because as far as I'm concerned, those guys made the list when that happened for me. And so TJ's taking receipts, and he understands. But here's one thing about the whole thing. For TJ Watt, you have to be in for life now. This is now, and I've been practicing this in my head. I haven't tried it. It's now TJ Watt for life. Okay, I think I did that right. But anyway.
Try to do your NWL.
Yeah.
For life.
Yeah. So he's got to be in now. In 3 years, this can't be a distraction. You didn't sell your soul, but you have united with the Steelers for life, and this is great. But what makes me happy about this most of all is because this is not going to be a distraction. When we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers being all in, and the three of us here, we knew the entire time, and there's other people like, of course, Katie Smith and everybody else, that every time we read something about, the trades, the Steelers are calling around for TJ Watt. No, we knew it wasn't going to happen just because we know this organization. The national media, I'm not going to say what I call them, but the national media is going to go ahead and spin this beforehand as, TJ Watt's going to another team, best fits for TJ Watt. No, they are united for life. And the great thing about that is now you can focus on, you don't have a distraction right now until one's made up. But right now, you could just focus on what's at hand, the Super Bowl. If the Steelers were to bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, bring in a guy like DK Metcalf, Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, that means that we've used the term all in for a while, but that just means that they're going for it this year. Why would you make deals like that and get rid of one of the greatest pieces you've ever had in TJ Watt? So that's why this is so great. Quit the distraction. You know he's going to be in camp. You know he's going to be there full bore, and you don't have to worry about what's going on with him.
Now, Dave, you talked about the numbers, but I didn't give you an opportunity to give your thoughts on both the timing and the deal itself.
Yeah, well, first of all, I do want to say that some of us aren't using the term all in and even did a whole show about it, but we'll just say that.
I was careful on that. Yeah.
Well, they're all in every year. That's
the key. That's the key. That's it.
Year.
It's never we're doing it now at the expense of the future.
Right.
It's we are doing everything we can to be the best that we can be right now.
Right.
But not quite everything, because they're not sacrificing the future for it. And they haven't had to. And that's what's great. Let's get back to this. I expected the Steelers to do this deal. I know Jer Bear had gone on the Rich Eisen show and was talking about how it needs to be 5 years in order to spread the money out. I'm like, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure on this show, I talked about that it should be a 2 or 3 year extension would actually make the most sense for everybody, especially if you're going to do that much money. So the fact that it's 3 years, 4 total, most, people were saying it's got to be that 4 to spread out all that signing bonus. I wonder if they did a little bit lower signing bonus of spreading that out and just did higher base salaries along the way for that reason. I don't know. I really want to see the breakdown year by year. I'm assuming his base salary the last season is going to be what, 15 million, because that's the only part that's not guaranteed, something like that. But who knows? Maybe they guaranteed part of it the last year and it's higher than that. I think the timing of it is hilarious because so many people have been freaking out about this all summer. And I'm just like, I am not worried about this at all now. I am not worried about it until we hit September is when I was going to worry about TJ Watt. I was even fine if I wanted him to show up and not, stay away, but I didn't care if he didn't practice. I was fine with the hold in. It worked last time. But for everyone that was freaking out about this and saying, should they trade him and everything else, I'm like, calm down. Unless TJ Watt gets ultra frustrated and asked to be traded, they're not going to do that. I said, but Omar Khan has a tendency to get these things done sooner. If he doesn't, it's okay. Cam's deal wasn't done until September last year, even under Omar Khan. So some people are like, well, Khan does it earlier. He can do it earlier, like he did with Minkah Fitzpatrick when he got his last deal, like with Alex Highsmith, like with, when was Pat Freiermuth's deal? I can't even remember. His was later last year, wasn't it?
It was still in camp, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't before camp.
No.
So I'm not shocked by this timing at all. It's actually more of a relief and fun and even funnier for people that were going to want to make this such a big deal through August. And now we got something else we can find to be a big deal, but it's not going to be nearly as big as this.
Yeah, it's a situation for me when I saw the deal was done and I'm looking at the numbers and I chuckled to myself when he comes out to 41 million average New Year's new money, as Dave puts it. It just made me kind of laugh because we have all said it. We've said it this whole time. He probably just wants $1 more than Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
And then let's go play football. He gets $1 million more, $500,000, whatever it is. That's still let's go play football. And I think that's the focus. I think the Steelers, I talk about this obviously on my Friday Let's Ride podcast, where I feel like the whole brain trust, you have Andy Weidel, you have Art Rooney II, you have Omar Khan, obviously, and you have Mike Tomlin. They probably sat in a room and said, what do we got to do here? And they said, we just need TJ here. And we need him just completely, fully invested in everything. Yes, he could be there and not practice, and he's not going to miss a beat. But at the same time, like, you don't want him to have to be worried about the contract. You want him to be focused on helping a young Jack Sawyer get to know the defense, helping Nick Herbig continue to develop, getting Alex Highsmith continuing to get better and better so the defensive edge rushers are the best they can be. And is he going to be able to do that by standing on the sideline during team drills? Probably not as much. And so I was really happy that a cloud that was going to be over St. Vincent College on Wednesday is no longer there. These players are going to be showing up. Are there still going to be questions? Are there still going to be narratives? Absolutely. Who's the wide receiver 2? What about the offensive line depth? I could go on. We've talked about it ad nauseum over the last 40 days. But this biggest cloud, the dark and ominous one that everyone was going to be talking about, is TJ going to show up? Is he going to speak to the media? Is he going to do anything? Gone. It's gone. And I just want to say this real quick. For anyone out there, whether you're listening to this in the audio side or you're watching on YouTube or you're watching live, it doesn't matter. And you're thinking to yourself, well, TJ's never won a playoff game. Okay, I get it. Fact. I'm not trying to deny that. But do you think they'd win one without him? I'm going to say that's a glaring no. If you do, we don't need to bring up the record without TJ Watt. It's not good. And so he's one of their best football players. You want to get your best football player locked up. They're not going to have to worry about his contract because a quarterback deal, whether it's Will Howard or a 2026 draft pick, will be after he's off the books. Let's enjoy this. They did right by a really good football player. Don't let these little negative thoughts be cancerous in your brain. Brian, I've talked a lot. What do you want to say?
No, I love what you had to say. I mean, I think that's the best way to say it because what I was thinking was somewhat less than that. But when you brought up the cloud over St. Vincent College, yeah, that cloud is gone. And it's so nice to see. And I realized the cloud thing, but what he could do, I mean, a consolation through this whole thing is what I would have said if he did not come into camp or sign, but he came as a hold in. I was going to say, well, at least he's there and at least he is getting ready to go. But then turn around and realize what Jeff said about Jack Sawyer, about mentoring and coaching. Yeah, that's a huge thing. And this is the best time for this team to come together right now as a unit. And I'm going to tell you this, 20 years ago, we're getting ready for an anniversary season, not just the Terrible Towel anniversary, not just the anniversary for Super Bowl 10, but this is the 20th anniversary of Super Bowl 40. And the great thing about that is the fact that a lot of people forget that in camp, they had a guy that was holding out, and he was very unhappy with his contract, and it's one of the most favorite Steelers of all time, Hines Ward. They got it done in camp. He came in. Next thing you know, he's Super Bowl MVP. That was a big cloud hanging over them. That cloud's gone. And when that cloud was gone, they got a chance to go ahead and take care of business. Look, I'm ready to party like it's 2005.
Dave, you want to say anything
Jeff?
to that?
Yeah, but here's what I want to say. I want to say is that earlier we had a super chat. We had a $1 super chat from Captain Underpants, and there was nothing in it. And I know he might have had a couple other messages since then, but he had another one where he asked a question. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it up if that's okay.
Sure.
And that was, with TJ here actually signed, are we an actual contender? According to the Talking Heads, was the follow-up.
Yeah. So I'll say, I'll answer this, then we'll throw it around the horn here, that I think that the Steelers are a contender. And the TJ Watt thing doesn't change that. Like, it doesn't move the needle one way or the other. I don't think Vegas is going to change their odds or the total wins for the 2025 Steelers because TJ Watt signed a deal. I don't think that at all.
Agreed.
But I think they are a contender. And why do I think they're a contender? Because I think that the Steelers defense is going to be better than they were last year. And I said that when they had Minkah Fitzpatrick, and I say it now that they don't have Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think the Steelers' biggest question mark, I've said it enough, a million times, the only thing that could keep them from truly contending is the offensive line. That's my take. Brian, what say you?
Yes.
I really thought the corner situation could actually hurt the Steelers too. I agree with you on the offensive line, but the Steelers have been a contender this entire time. But please, media matchmakers, please.
There it is.
Yeah, I brought it. I didn't bring it up later, but when Captain Underpants called them talking heads, please keep on ranking the Steelers in the 20s. Keep on ranking them all these places where they suck. CBS just ranked the 10 best head coaches, the 32 best head coaches, and I think Mike Tomlin was 10. So I'm looking at all of these rankings, and I'm seeing the Steelers low, except for one. PFF rated the defensive line number 1, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. But keep on dissing these guys. Remember when Ben Roethlisberger used the term band of brothers, and nobody expected us to be there? Like a lot of teams do. But everybody was talking about how the Pittsburgh Steelers were not expected to be there. Even in 2005, the year I want to party like, nobody, they were a 6th seed. Nobody really gave them credit. Even in their own division, they weren't even the best team in their division because that was Cincinnati at the time. A candidate for one of the best teams of all time that year, and almost an undefeated team. I think they went 13-0 before they lost, and that was the Indianapolis Colts. So, yes, you can have your Kansas City Chiefs, your Baltimore Ravens, your Buffalo Bills, and anybody else you want to put ahead of the Steelers, and rank them 9th or 10th in the conference. Please do. Let that ship grow bigger. So, yes, TJ Watt doesn't make them a contender like Jeff said because they already were a contender, but it solidifies the team as a contender in their locker room. And to me, that's the most important thing. As long as the 53 men that line up on September 8th or whatever it is believe that they're contenders, that's all that matters. And that's what I want to continue happening. So everybody rank them low. That's okay. Just say that you just paid an over 30 guy one of the biggest contracts of all time for a non-quarterback. You harp on that. I'm sure Colin Cowherd's losing his mind. Good. Go ahead. Talk, and then listen to what the Steelers have to say with their play because of all of your talking.
Dave, I'll let you answer the question the Captain Underpants posed.
What was the question? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, when are the Steelers not a contender? I mean, to me, any team that makes the playoffs is at least a low-level contender. Now, there's also different levels of teams that make the playoffs that are serious contenders versus not. The question is, are the Steelers a serious contender? That's going to come to when they actually start putting tape out there, when they actually start doing things on the field. I've said it a bunch of times. I'll go ahead and say it one more time. I'm saying that I think the ultimate success or failure of this team will lie with the offensive line. That's what we've talked about it here and a bunch. So I think, let's just say this. They are definitely not a team that anybody's going to look on their schedule and look past them.
That's a good point. And I know that I've been going through on the Let's Ride podcast or on Mondays, the AFC North, and I've spoken to every single team. And every single team, when I give them a chance to kind of talk about the Steelers offseason, they say, look, we know it's Pittsburgh. It's never going to be easy. Like, they're always a tough out. There's never a meaningless game, so to speak. So we'll see how that pans out. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back after the break, we found out some information about the trade and some financials there. We'll get Dave's opinion on that. And then we'll also have trivia and all that stuff as we finish out the show. Stay tuned. If you're watching live, we're not going anywhere. On the audio side, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. All right, folks, we're back. Thank you all for being patient. Dave, you have not gotten the official numbers, I don't think, from both of your sites that you check and verify, but there's been some early reports out there on what the contract, we talked all about TJ Watt's contract, obviously, but Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, the cap implications. What are you hearing about that? Yeah,
well, Jonnu Smith has been, that one's pretty much known with that one. It's funny because I waited to do an article, and I'm like, you know what? I need to do an article telling people why I'm waiting, what I'm looking for, what I'm waiting for. And as soon as I do, what happens? Some of the numbers come out. So we have the numbers for Jonnu Smith because he was going into the last year of his deal, and the Steelers added another year, and all in all, he's getting paid $16 million over the 2 years.
So he's under contract for 2026?
Yeah, Jonnu Smith, okay. Yes. They added a year to it.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't realize that?
Just clarifying.
Yeah. So, no, that's good. So, I thought I remembered that from the original report. They added another $12 million and another year. Yes. Well, and I knew he was right around $4 million that he was going to make. So, what it is he's got $7.745 million as a signing bonus, 1.255 as a base salary. That's the minimum for someone with his number of years. When you split up that signing bonus into the 2 different years, it's a $7 million base salary next year. So his cap number for this year is just over $5 million. It's like 5.25. Not even 5.25, 5.125. 5.125 is what it actually looks better. Looks a little bit closer to. But that puts him as a $10.8 million cap hit next year. Now, next year, if it doesn't work out with Jonnu Smith, he has a $7 million base salary that the Steelers would not be on the hook on if they move on from him. And it would just be just under $3.9 million in dead money. So you've got 1 year with the low cap number. You have a big cap number next year if you're going to continue to pay him. It's honestly sounds like the typical 2-year deal that they would do for people, for free agents in the past. So that's Jonnu Smith coming in just a little bit over $5 million. Jalen Ramsey, that one's tricky because I've got My main source is Over the Cap, and their numbers are flat up wrong. They're wrong because they have both a high base salary and a signing bonus for Jalen Ramsey with his deal with the Steelers, and it's not going to be both. It's one or the other. Because if you guys remember, it was at almost $19 million that was going to be his roster bonus for week one. The question is how the Steelers were dealing with that. Were they making a signing bonus, what they were doing, everything else? So, like, Over the Cap right now has his cap hit this year is $19.5 billion. I think that's the cash he's getting paid this year, but that should not be his cap hit. Spot Rack has they actually have his cap hit for this year being lower than Jonnu Smith. They have it at $4.9 million. Now, the thing that I'm not sure that they're right is because he had void years on his contract with Miami. If he's basically doing a new contract with the Steelers, are they keeping those void years on? So does a signing bonus go out 5 years when he's no longer under contract with him, or is it just under 4 that's remaining on this contract? That's right. Jalen Ramsey's under contract with the Steelers for 4 years with the deal that they inherited. So I'm not sure that it's quite as low as what Spot Rack has, because I don't know that it's going to be spread out over that amount of time. Most of the time, these two sites agree, but they don't always. Like, they don't have Mason Rudolph's salary cap hit for this year the same. They just don't. They're off by a little bit. So you can't always take all of that. So I know it's not 19.5 this year. I can tell you that. But I don't know that it's under 5 this year either. I would say if you want to just do a rough estimate and keep it safe, I would say his cap hit this year is probably safely 7, which is still really good with how much the Steelers saved for Minka Fitzpatrick.
I'll be really excited to see once we get all those details of that trade ironed out and we see the details of TJ Watt's deal. I would assume his cap hit in 2025 will decrease, don't you think, Dave?
Yeah, it should. It's not going to bottom out. I mean, he's at 30 million before this deal, and like I said, almost 10 million of it, over 9 million of it can't get moved. It has to stay this year because it was the last year of the prorated bonus from his previous deal. I know how you guys are saying, the salary cap's a myth, you can spread it around. Yeah, you can add void years on. The Steelers don't do that. This is money that's just due at the end of his contract that he's already been paid that they finally have to account for. So we know it's going to be more than that. But I wouldn't be shocked if it saves, my goodness. I mean, they could even have it set up as much where it could save like close to 10 million, but I don't even know if it's going to be that. But just saving anything, I think, is a bonus that you're not paying more this year than not paying more. You don't have a higher cap number this year than what you would have had otherwise. I just think is a bonus.
Brian, anything to add to that? It's been a lot of numbers.
Yeah, I'm really confused. And then the hamster in my head just kind of had a stroke. So I'm trying to take all that in as I possibly can. But that's why I love having Dave, because I know at like 11:47 at night, if I say, Dave, can you explain this to me again? He'll be doing it, and he'll be glad to.
You can't. Seattle has 2 losses with this kind of stuff.
I'm not doing that.
You've got to be tuned in and completely focused on what's going on to even have a chance.
That's not what I'm doing.
Jeff. I know. No, I'm not saying you were, but I'm just saying Jeff seemed like he was hanging on every word that I was saying. Do you have a pretty good understanding for it, Jeff?
I have a better grasp of the cap since reading your articles and talking to you about it. The only thing that confuses me, like, I know Jalen Ramsey had void years in his contract coming from Miami. Mm-hmm. What did the Steelers do with those years? Do they have to keep them on? Like, those are the things that I still get kind of befuddled with.
No, well, and because the thing is, the void years only help Miami because they're all bonuses for Miami. See, that's another problem with Spot Rack for the future of Jalen Ramsey's contract. If you go looking at his numbers there's going to be some interesting stuff in the future, because the way that the Dolphins set it up is that they had him with some, but what you call an other bonus. I look at it as it's almost like what's the word I'm looking for? It almost like a pre-restructure. That's what I'm looking for. Is that they set up that rather than give you a base salary, they have it set up as a bonus that then's going to go out for 5 years or the life of the contract after that. So they had 4 void years from Miami. Or 3 or 4. It was 3. The Steelers wouldn't even need that many. They wouldn't even need that because that option that they have, they're rolling that into a base salary because the Steelers, rather than set it up as an option, they'd rather say it's base salary and then make the decision if they're going to restructure it, which basically treats it like that kind of option. So right now, with Ramsey, with those 3 extra void years, only one of them could be used by the Steelers, and it would move, just a little under 3.7 million out into another year after he'd already be gone. But if not, that amount of money is going to get split up into those other 4 years with things like that. When you've got a contract that comes from another team and it's not the way that the Steelers structure it, when I heard that the Steelers are moved at $1.5 million up to pay him this year, I instantly know, I'm like, they're going to take all that other stuff that's done in different ways and they're going to do it the way they do it. So you're not going to look at a bunch of option bonuses and workout bonuses. You're going to get rosters.
All right, Brian, you look like you want to talk.
And you're both numb.
No, you know what? This is like I'm picturing Dave with a mop bucket, a mop, a piece of chalk, and a blackboard at Harvard right now, like Goodwill Hunting, and he's solving equations. And for me, this is like when I was watching that movie, A Beautiful Mind, with Russell Crowe, and all those. I went home and cried, depressed, because I didn't understand any of the numbers going up on that movie screen. That's kind of the way I feel. So once again, that's why I just call up Dave and say, "All right, give it to me in Brian terms."
Well,
I'll stop then. But I do want to say one thing, because I'm bringing this up from Captain Underpants. He says, I think we'll save enough from TJ to cover the 2 Dolphins. You know what? They saved enough from Minka of trading Minka Fitzpatrick. They saved, unless that Jalen Ramsey number is way bigger than what it looks like it's going to be, they saved much more in trading Minka than what it's going to cost this first year of the 2 players that they got back. They increased their cap space from that trade.
Keeping with the Goodwill Hunting reference, Brian is the professor. Dave is Matt Damon when he goes up and goes, "Do you know how easy this is for me? Do you know how easy this is for me?" Brian's just like, I don't know.
One of my favorite
it only
movies.
works if you actually get the right information. That's what I'm still waiting. I just need the right information and then making it work.
Hey, Jeff, next thing you know, he's going to get like a piece of paper and burn it, and I'm going to be crying. No,
Not the salary cap, no.
Well, here's the other thing that's to get away from the salary cap, okay? The biggest advantage of this getting signed right now to me is, you know what we're going to be talking about in training camp?
Football.
We're going to be talking about what's going on the field. And if they need to add anything to the roster, that's going to be what we're talking about. Well, if not, what are we going to be talking about? Oh, is Jalen Warren going to get a contract? Is Calvin Austin III going to get a contract? You know what? If they do, fine. If they don't, that's okay too. I'm not that worried about that. Now the focus can be on what's going on the field.
Well, that's my question I was going to throw to Brian, is say if there's anyone that you think will get a new contract, and this doesn't kind of trade, anyone that would get a new contract before the regular season, who would it be if there's anyone at all, Brian?
My gosh, that's so tough right now. Can I throw one from left field? Because I'm going through in my mind. It's maybe Joey Porter or Keanu Benton.
Yeah, second round picks.
They're
probably
only
the next
two. They're not allowed to yet. They're
showing a rookie deal.
That's against the rules.
Okay, so
Yeah, not Steelers rules, NFL rules, because they have to have you have to complete 3 years before you can do a new contract.
Yeah, I just think those are probably the next in line right now, though, is what I'm saying. I don't know if you're rushing out to sign anybody else at this point. If you do Calvin Austin III, it's not going to be a break the bank deal, unless they Antonio Brown him in thinking, because you got to think about this. I have a feeling there's going to be an uptick in play, and you might have a breakout year from Calvin Austin III. With this offense, with the quarterback, there's a possibility. I'm not putting money down on it, but when they gave the money that they earmarked for Mike Wallace instead to Antonio Brown, that's when things took off, because they knew how good he was. It didn't completely translate into the field yet, but it did a little bit. But what I'm saying is they looked in the crystal ball and they're like, yeah, this guy's going to break open. So if they do a guy like Calvin Austin III, it's because they see something now and they don't want to put him on the open market and would rather give him a cheaper deal now.
Dave, do you have anyone in mind that they might give a contract to?
Well, that's why I said, to me, that the only two real options would be Jaylen Warren or Calvin Austin III. Like Brian brought up those guys, which would be guys that you want to give contracts to. They just can't legally do it until the season's over. You have to have 3 years in. So, and from that draft class, that's what's crazy. Who's left from that draft class that they're gonna extend to? Marvin Leal? You're going to extend Kenny Pickett and George Pickens? You just don't have the guys from that draft class. And remember,
is Leal the last one?
Oh no, it's Leal, it's Calvin Austin,
Mark Robinson.
It's Mark Robinson. Yeah,
Connor.
So there's
Connor
Hayward. Connor Hayward's one. Yeah, that's another guy. You could extend him. But to me, being where he is, he's more of a guy that I think that they would offer a contract to in the offseason. Let him finish out his 4 years and then say, hey, you want to stick around and play with your brother a little bit longer. Get him that he could qualify under that type of contract, the special veteran salary benefit one, like they used with Terrell Edmonds after his 4 years. You could do something like that with him. I think that would be a good deal there. So to me, the only ones I'd consider, and I don't even think they would need to do either Warren or Austin. I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying they could. But last year we didn't necessarily think they were going to do Pat Freiermuth, and then they did.
That's true. That is true. So, all right, Dave, you have trivia ready?
Yeah, I sent you to the super chat. Just thought I'd tell you.
Oh, let me get it up.
So you got to look that up.
Yeah. Steeler fan 69.
Yep, $5 in the tip jar.
All right, so here we go. Steeler fan gives us 69, gives us $5 in the tip jar. He said, "What do you call a group of trans female superheroes?"
Oh,
Did
X-Men.
you read the message? I'm like, I'm not reading this, but I'll send it to Jeff.
The jokes from Superfan 69 don't actually.
Steeler fan 69.
Steeler fan. Okay, well, it was just going to be my disclaimer. Doesn't actually.
No, you're.
All right, just go. It's not funny.
No, I was going to say you're mixing his Twitter handle and mine together.
The opinions of Steeler fan 69 do not represent those of Steel Curtain Network or Fans First Sports Network in any way, shape, or form.
Send your cards and letter.
Hey, here's an interesting one that the Steelers wanted to do later in camp that somebody brought up in the live chat. And he's getting up there, so I don't know that they would do it. What about Isaac Seumalo?
He's got to play well this year.
Yeah. So.
All right. Let's do some trivia, Dave.
I'm ready for trivia. Okay, because there was other news today. Did you know that?
There was?
There was some things that are going down that I have to really try to look into because it's tough, and I still haven't been able to because of all the TJ Watt news. There was a shakeup in the Steelers' compensatory formula for getting all the draft picks next year.
Mike Williams retired.
Because Mike Williams retired. Mike Williams took his last snaps in the NFL as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though he signed with the Chargers. But I will tell you this for those that are worried about it. He was projected as a 7th-round compensatory pick. He was considered to be canceled off. The Steelers had 2 extra before they got down to where it would only be where they might lose a fourth one. Now they have one extra. So something else could even still happen and they could still be up for 4. So it's not all panic or anything else. And he still might count. He's just not going to get any snaps. And honestly, 100% honest, he's not going to count now because he's not getting any snaps. His contract was so low. He needed to play X number of snaps in order to actually be a 7th round compensatory person. So that's not going to happen. But it got me thinking about retirement. Do you realize, other than Mike Williams is one of 4 players who have announced their retirement so far in 2025, whose last snaps came for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Can you name the other 3 players?
Wow. Patrick Peterson.
Patrick Peterson retired, and he did not play last year, so his last snaps in the NFL were for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll give you a hint. One of them, it was preseason snaps.
Miles Jack.
Miles Jack did not officially retire this year. I think he officially retired last year.
Did he officially retire ever?
I don't know that he has. I haven't seen him on the officially retired list.
Okay. I don't check that list. So
That's a good answer, though.
So remember, the hint is the snaps were preseason. And honestly, his only snaps
Ryan
for
Watt.
the Steelers.
Ryan
Watts, who had to medically retire this year. I know Jeff wrote that article.
Was that what you were hinting at, Dave? The preseason?
Yeah, that his last snaps were from the preseason. But there was another player whose last snaps were with the Steelers, and he retired this offseason.
Oh, Jonathan Ward, maybe. No, he didn't retire.
He didn't retire. Do you need another hint?
Did he play last season?
That was going to be my hint. He did not play in the NFL last season. It's another Patrick Peterson situation.
Was it like Carl Joseph or something like that?
Let's see. Did Eric Reed play last year for anyone else?
He didn't, but he hasn't announced the retirement.
Retired.
But you're getting close. You're at the right position.
Safety?
Or corner, defensive back, right? Oh, yeah. The he used to play for the Falcons, not KC, but
Keanu Neal.
Keanu Neal.
That's correct. Keanu Neal. You guys teamed up and got it together. Yes. So that's another player whose last snaps in the NFL before they retired.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Good trivia. So, all right, Brian, you ready for some final thoughts?
Yes, I am. So, really, what this comes down to is next week at this time, we're talking about camp. And it's going to be amazing. And we didn't want to wish the summer away, but how excited are all you guys because of this? But again, we've talked about the TJ Watt situation most of this show. And this just shows to me that this is a year more than others that the Steelers, because, and I'm dancing around this because I don't want to I don't want to go ahead and cancel out Dave's theories on being all in, because I agree with him on that, because they didn't give anything away. But the way they're setting up this roster, it feels like it's Super Bowl, but not bust, because they're not giving anything away. We've as Pirate fans, we've wanted them to give stuff away, to go ahead and be all in that year. So it's nice to see what the Steelers are doing, and nice to see that there's a plan. So there's going to be a lot of people talking, and we alluded to this earlier in the show, that you're going to hear so many people complaining about giving an over 30 over the hill. They're going to throw in a term that I hate, washed. They're going to throw in washed, and they're throwing all this money away. But, again, Dave, I don't want to contradict Dave, but he mentioned that the salary cap is real, and we know they have to pay that out. But the Steelers now, to me, have turned into one of those teams that the salary cap doesn't matter, because now they are a team that can manipulate it at every sense of the word, and the master of manipulation is Omar Khan. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up Good Will Hunting one more time. Every time we go on, this is a quote at the end of the movie when Ben Affleck's character talked about Matt Damon's character, how he pulls up to the house hoping every day that he's not there. Not because he wants to lose him, because he loves the guy, but he wants him to be on to greater and better things. So every time I turn on the Steelers preview, in a way, I'm hoping that Dave Schofield is not here. And why am I hoping that it's not here? Because I think he, of all people, deserves to be next to Omar Khan as an assistant salary cap guru. So if that happens, I will be very happy. And I will bug him for some passes.
There you go, for sure. All right, Dave, final thoughts.
Oh, final thoughts. How am I supposed to follow that? Okay. Boy, isn't it nice when you hit that moment when everything changes? For the longest time, through March, through April, well, I'd say half of March, all of April, most of May, pretty much all of May, it was all about the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. This is dragging on. And one of the things I kept saying was, eventually it's going to be over, and it's like you're not even going to think about it. How often until this year when we're like, oh no, here goes TJ Watt in a contract situation again, how much during that 2021 season were we thinking about TJ Watt's contract situation that happened during training camp? We didn't. Once it was resolved, it was over, and it was like, let's go play football. We keep having those key moments in this offseason. Today was one of those moments. We actually had another show planned. It was going to be a good, fun show. And you know what? I'm glad that we didn't do it, that we had this big looming issue that, some people were worried about it. As I've tried to say, I wasn't worried about it yet. I was far from worried about it for at least another month. But now it's done. And we can move on to the bigger, better, more important things to talk about, which is this team on the practice field 1 week from now. Let's go.
I agree. Football is back. Finally, this is our last weekend without Steelers football to talk about in some way, shape, or form. So that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, Brian, Dave, thank you all very much. Make sure you check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com and all of our podcasts here on the Steel Curtain Network, whether it's my solo show, Let's Ride. Dave, if you missed his Pittsburgh Standard Time with Greg Benevent, go check that out. Brian does great work with Coach Kevin Smith and with Bad Language, Here We Go shows with Kevin Smith. Check out all of the shows. Give us a shot on the audio-only feed wherever you get your podcast by searching Steel Curtain Network. That does it for us. We'll be back next week for another Steelers preview. Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hey.
We'll see you next week.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.